distinguished guests and judges and fellow Toastmasters. We spend a lot of time looking for things like keys, missing papers, relationships, jobs, houses. And we seldom look at the technique and the psychology behind our looking. Often our belief system is very suspect. And often we, as I say, an executive spends something like 4.5 hours each week looking for things, yet we receive very little training, if at all, looking for things. So how do we go about looking for things? Well, we look in the place we expect to find it. And if it's not there, we look again. We can't believe it's not there, you know. We have to figure out why it's not there. Perhaps somebody else moved it. Why would they move it? Instead of just going on to the next thing, we have to theorize why something is not there. So when we finally find it somewhere else, where we last left it, we just go on to looking for the next missing thing. Again, we seemingly know where it is. And not only do we not find it there, but we have to figure out why it's missing. We may want to accuse someone else of doing it, but then we would be labeled as paranoid. And if we asked someone else to look for it, perhaps they would find it. And then we'd feel stupid. So we don't want to feel stupid. Sort of like when you're going out with a friend and your friend goes, you and your friend go shopping, your friend goes off somewhere else, and you go looking up and down an aisle for one particular thing. You look and you look and you look. Finally, your friend returns and asks, what are you looking for? Well, you tell her, she goes off, a few minutes later brings it back. But you don't want to feel stupid, so you say, well, this isn't quite like what I'm looking for, but I guess it'll do. So we also spend a lot of time looking for jobs, which is also very suspect. The resume we make is tailored to fit the job that we are seeking. When we go to the interview, the person may not even have the resume before him. And generally speaking, the person who gets the job is the person who makes the most favorable impression. How often have you heard, well, about the person being hired, oh, he's a great guy, or he's a nice lady? For example, in Jim Zorn's case, when he was first hired, everyone said, oh, he's a great guy, you know, he's just one terrific guy. But after he started losing, did anyone say, he's 4 and 12, but he's a great guy? Not hardly. So they got what they were looking for, but it wasn't what they wanted. Now, in the case of Shanahan, imagine Shanahan going into a job interview. The Redskins owner might say something like, how are you doing? Shanahan would probably say, enough of the health issues, let's talk about the team. Shanahan's not much of a conversationalist, but he sure does get the job done. So once we have a job, we want to go out and look for relationships. So where do we look for relationships? Well, young people tend to look for relationships in bars. However, they fail to realize that alcoholics frequent bars. But they go to bars because it's easy to meet people, people are relaxed, you know, people are friendlier after a few drinks. They don't seem to realize that although they go to meet people that drink in bars, those very same people may drink at home. It's not something that they tend to figure out very quickly. So once we find somebody, or when we're looking for somebody, generally we look for someone who has good looks, appealing looks, and a personality. What we don't realize, or what they don't tell young people, is that after a woman has several children and the years go on, they're going to look like a lot like their mother, and the guy's going to look a lot like the father. Also, I've heard it said on the first date that how the woman treats the waiter is going to be a lot like how the woman treats the man in 6 months' time. So no one tells people this. So also, once we find a job and we find a relationship, we're in a relationship, Then we seek happiness. Well, we've often heard that money does not buy happiness, and yet that's the very thing we seek. People go after good-paying jobs, and they buy houses, huge houses. The houses that they make now are much larger, almost nearly double the size the houses were, say, 20 years ago. But are people any happier? No. Actually, the divorce rate is at an all-time high. So things are backwards. People are looking for things that they don't necessarily need or want in the long run. Suppose life came with warning labels, sort of like those on a cigarette package. Suppose when you went to, you're in a relationship, your significant other introduces you to the mother and says, just take a good look because this is what I'll look like in a few years. Suppose when you go on a job interview, the employer turns to you and says, well, we want to make sure that you're a hard worker. Take this mule and a plow and go plow the field and back. For the person selling the house, suppose that he was required to give an honest disclosure. He says to the person, this is a great house, but your neighbors are struggling to pay their mortgages, and they're just waiting till the home value goes up high enough so they can sell and make a profit. Suppose the person that sells you a speedy car, a car that can go 100 miles an hour, also is required to warn you that the cost of a speeding ticket. So life is not ideal, and things don't come with warning labels. But I hope I've shed a little light as well as a little humor on the subject so you won't be looking for things in the wrong places.